Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to Carlos Lozoya in the main event at Fury FC 70. Carlos, you're flying on beautiful form, racking up those wins. Is this maybe the precipice of you joining the UFC?
I think it is, man. And if I'm definitely looking for a finish, and watching the film, I think I will finish, especially with 5 rounds. And I think it's just gonna be. The plan is always just to be impressive, you know. And he's a really skilled opponent, a lot of experience, and my plan is just to really make it look like I'm in a different league, you know, and hopefully I can get into a different league like the UFC. So that's the plan, and hopefully this is the last one, you know.
Do you hear anything? Are you in touch with people? Is your management in touch with people? Like, how does it work? Do you feel like this buzz around you right now because you are on great form?
Oh yeah, 100%. My management has tried multiple times to get me some short notice fights. We even tried it with Cody Garbrandt, and but then he got injured, and we were really, really pushing for that. But you know, no matter what, even if like I do get a finish and I look great and I still don't get signed, um, yeah, I'll just keep fighting and nothing changes for me. I just keep fighting and keep finishing guys, and I know I'll get there eventually. So it's just whether or not it's after this one or after the next one or the next one or whatever.
Do you think flyweight's enjoyed a bit of a renaissance in the last few years? There seems to be way more excitement about the division maybe than there ever was.
Dude, yeah, it's one. Dude, there's like it really has like it really is like a different division now than it was like 5 years ago, even 2 years ago. I mean, you just look at the contender series. Some there's some impressive flyweights coming in, man. Like Clay Carpenter, who's that guy that got that right hook right off the cage on the contender series? Um, Carlos Moda that just won the LFA title at 125. Man, there's some very, very impressive 25ers jumping in. And I think in the past, people always looked at 125 and saw like a lack of skill. And I don't think that's the case anymore. I think it's really like 125 is starting to become, I think it's going to blow up. And I think it's still blowing up. But yeah, it's exciting. Like when I see it, like it just there's some fights that legit excite me, you know, as a fan and then like even as a competitor. But yeah, oh yeah, definitely. It made it's in its renaissance right now for sure.
Who do you think is the absolute gold standard globally in the division? Who's the guy that you think really you look up to in a way, or do you think has done it in the way that you really respect?
Man, I really respect the way Kaya fights because he's just so smart. Like he's not a grappler, but he's a very like even when he does like grapple with like high level grapplers, he's very defensive. Like he knows how to be defensive, and he knows how to be efficient and be defensive. And then once he gets to his feet, he's like he really brings on the pressure. So I really love that style. I think Pantoja is another guy who's like very heavy pressure. And Man, his jiu-jitsu is just it really is fun to watch. There's no stalling with a guy like Pantoja, you know, and uh, he's just a beautiful pace, man. I like watching. Those are two of my favorite for sure. I mean, of course, Brandon Moreno, but I think Pantoja and Kaya France are like aesthetically, and aesthetically it's just funner to watch, you know. And it's just watching the technique. Not saying that Brandon doesn't have technique, but it's Brandon just beat Kaya France, so he obviously has technique, but it's I think those are some guys I love emulating. You know, I try to like make a combination of the two and just make one that of me. You know, so I like watching those two guys for sure.
You put together some savage submissions. Your highlight reel is super impressive. Do you think it's fair to say that you can hang with anybody in the world in that regard in terms of your submission game?
100%. I know like anybody I grapple with. If we grapple, I know I can finish you, and it's not just like I'm not speaking out of context. Like I've grappled already some of the best guys in the world, in like a pure grappling like rule set. But I know where my level is at, with grappling. You know, I was nationally ranked in college. I was ranked as a jiu-jitsu grappler. So I know like where my level of grappling's at, and I know it's just different when I have to get bigger people so I can get something competitive, you know. So uh, I know I can grapple with anybody, so that's definitely not like a worry when I get in there with somebody. Like I know my grappling is gonna be far ahead, at least most people, you know.
In your pro career after 2016, it looks like you had a few years out. What was the reason for that? Were you thinking twice about whether you wanted to do this as a professional?
Well, so I joined the army, and so I had 3 years of like consecutive training, um, and I couldn't like consecutive training with the army. So like I wasn't allowed to leave. I didn't have like freedoms yet. So it was like 3 years of just training, and then I feel like after that I became like I grew up, you know, because like when I first started my professional career, I think I just turned 18, and I was like, I didn't have the kind of strength as I do now. And I didn't have like the understanding of MMA yet because I kind of jumped into being a pro super quick. Um, but uh, but yeah, like that's why I took that time off was because of my military training.
What was that like for you being in the army? Did that help you go up another level in terms of mental strength, physical strength? I mean, you just touched on it a little bit, but you haven't lost since.
Yeah, I think mentally it's helped me a lot. Physically too, just because I've done some things. I think mentally, I think the thing that's helped me the most is like I remember I used to like I would idolize like certain people like Green Berets or Army Rangers or Navy SEALs, and then when I went, so I came into the Army and I tried to become a Green Beret at first, and then I made it so far into the course that after a while they told me they didn't want me for whatever reason, and then they said try again next year, and then but then when I was like getting reassigned, they asked me if I wanted to be an Army Ranger, and if I'd be willing to go to that selection, and I was like, yeah, sure, and I went through that selection, and then I went through Ranger School, and then I met a lot of people that like their status like I idolized, you know, like just Green Berets, Army Rangers, like these are the guys I idolize. But when I worked with them and when I went through these trainings with these guys, I realized they're just people. And then I feel like I really related that with fighting. You know, I feel like even at the highest level, like they're just people. There's no difference. It's just people that didn't quit, and that's something I realized also in college wrestling was like the best guys. A lot of the best guys were the guys who like could stick around academically, and then the longer they stayed in the wrestling room, the further they advance, and then all of a sudden these guys like in their senior junior year were becoming, you know, all Americans or national champions, and I just relate with that. You know, I feel like I've never been like the athletic guy. I've never been the faster guy. I've never been the bigger guy, especially fighting up a weight class too. And I just always been like the guy that obsessed and worked extremely hard. And I know these guys at the highest level. They're no different than me. They're just guys that didn't stop, and you know they love it. Yeah, so I think that's the biggest thing I got from the military was that just no one's that special, you know.
You say fighting upper weight class. Are you a natural strawweight?
No. So all my other fights except for my last fight have been at 135,
Right.
and then my last fight was my first 125 fight, but my entire career I've been walking at like 141, 142, and I just wasn't cutting weight. So so I think it benefited me because it really forced me to like focus on skill development and my technique. And then now that I'm at like an actual like suitable weight class for my frame, I feel like I feel like I can really shine at this weight class. So So I'm a flyweight now, but my whole career has been at bantamweight.
Yeah, I noticed that you're and you spoke to James Lynch about it not so long ago as well. That first
Yeah,
amateur fight with Sean O'Malley. That clip was going around, I think, ahead of Sean's last fight because people were a little bit critical of the way the fight ended. I imagine you weren't too happy too. Like, what was that? What happened there?
yeah. So it was funny. Like, so that was my first amateur fight, and uh, one of my buddies who fought professionally, he was like, "Hey man, you want to fight for this title?" And I just got done wrestling for college, and I still wanted to compete. And I was like, "Sure." I was like, "I'll fight." And then I've been doing jujitsu most of my life. I was like nationally ranked in college and wrestling, so I was like, how bad could this be? And then I fought against Sean O'Malley, and but it was a good fight, and we made it to the fifth round, and I was on top and I was ground and pounding him. And then he turned and then I hit him like in the ear, but he started holding the back of his head. And he started screaming the back of my head, the back of my head. And then the ref stopped it and O'Malley couldn't continue anymore. So I got disqualified. Um, but to be fair on the ref and on Sean, earlier in that fight, I did hit him in the back of the head just because I didn't know the rules. I just didn't know the rules. I didn't know you couldn't. I didn't know you couldn't hit people in the back of the head. But earlier in the fight, I did hit him in the back of the head, and then the ref was like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa!" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "What's going on?" And but yeah, then I hit him in the ear, but I didn't hit him in the back of the head. But he said in the back of the head, and I got disqualified. But yeah, no fault on either of those guys. I mean, it was just an amateur fight, and I'm glad I had that experience.
Were you winning the fight?
I think I was winning. Yeah, I was winning on the scorecards, and I thought I was about to finish the fight too. I was like this close to finishing the fight. I was like ground and pounding. I don't think it was damaging shots. I think we're just both really really tired, and then he just kind of wasn't defending the correct way. Uh, but I think it was a close fight. I know it was very close. I lost a point for hitting him in the back of the head, so I'm not sure how the scorecards were, but I'm pretty sure I was maybe winning, or I was like I thought I knew I wanted to finish at the end, so I was like really pushing that finish. I felt like he was too exhausted to push me off anymore, so I was like I was just trying to do these little weak hooks and just hope that the ref would stop it. But yeah, so I think it was close, but maybe I don't know. I don't know the judges' scorecards on that one.
MMA's got a funny way of bringing things back around. Do you see yourselves figuring it out one day in the octagon? I know he's fighting a weight class above you now, but
Oh yeah, I think there's a lot of good matchups for me at 135, and I think O'Malley is definitely one of those matchups. And I think it'd be a good story just to fight again. I think it's funny. It's gotten a lot of gotten a lot of like it's circled that video is circled around a lot, and I think that's something the fans would definitely want to watch down the line. If I make it into the UFC and I'm successful at flyweight, I think that's a good fight to push one day. I think it'd be fun.
because you're coming off, I mean, having kind of proven yourselves outside of the UFC, you talked about Cody Garbrandt as a last minute fight. Is there a name that you would just love to jump in against later this year? Maybe would just be an amazing debut for you to kind of hit the ground running.
Oh man, there's a lot of good guys, man. I don't have any names specifically, but Jay Perrin. Jay Perrin, he's a bantamweight. I would love to fight him. All right. Not because of his skill set, but more because we know a lot of mutual people because I live in Massachusetts now, and he's from Massachusetts, and he rubs a lot of people wrong. And then when one day I called him out on Twitter, and then he just got really upset about it. I was like, I would love to fight Jay Perrin for my debut, and he got really really upset about it, and so now I don't like him. So I think Jay would be. I think I would love that fight. Up a weight class. I think he's on a 2-fight loss streak. If I get I think that'd be good. Like hopefully a recovery fight for him, and I think that'd be a great debut fight for me, you know. But who knows? I would love that fight. And then there's some 25ers I'd love to fight, but not anyone I can really name off the top of my head, but really anyone at 25. So
to finish off, then Cleveland. I mean, he's coming off a knockout win. He's put together a nice run himself. Do you see yourself submitting him? How big of a test is he for you?
I think it's a big test. I don't think he's the most like dangerous guy I've fought. He's probably one of the more experienced guys I fought. He is a dangerous guy, but I think I finish him. I think I'll finish him. Man, I really think I could finish him in the first round. If not, definitely by the third round. I really think I could finish him. I think the pace is just going to be too much for him. But who knows? We'll see. I have a game plan. I have a way that I think this fight's going to go. But you know, it would be silly to say that that's exactly how it's going to be, because things change in a fight really quick. So who knows? But I really think I'm going to finish McLean. So.
Well, you got everything and you're not going to flourish at the very highest level of this sport, man. I'm going to be following your career closely. I appreciate the time a lot. All the best. Thanks, Carlos.
Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate the time too.